Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic next. Jake Paul runs away from Team Mayweather after they try and jump him. And also Kron Gracie is returning to the UFC. I'm going to discuss all of this and more on today's MMA news reaction video. Let's start straight away with Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I should have made a video about this yesterday, but either way, let's get into it right now. Dana White says that's the next fight that's going to happen. Jon Jones even called out Stipe Miocic. It's no doubt going to be next. They even said before Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane that Stipe Miocic was going to be getting a title shot in the heavyweight division next. People are a bit weird about this though, and I understand it as well, because Stipe Miocic has been out for a very long time. And if the fight has not been made by the time that the winner of the Curtis Blaydes versus Sergey Pavlovich fight has been announced, it does seem extremely unfair to give Stipe Miocic a title shot over the winner of Pavlovich versus Blaydes, especially if it's Curtis Blaydes. It just seems so unfair. It almost feels like, and I know Stipe Miocic was in the same position because before he got his title shot in heavyweight division, I remember him screaming at Dana White to give him his shot. Give me my shot! And I think that's what he was screaming at him in his post-fight interview, because he just really badly was desperately working towards getting a title shot. I think I definitely remember him screaming at one point, give me my shot, over and over again at Dana White, who was cage side at the time. But it feels like once someone has fought for a belt before, it is so easy for them to get back towards a title. Even if they weren't a champion. I know Stipe Miocic was a champion, but this is something with Justin Gaethje. Just getting a title shot before and being in a title fight has meant that he's constantly able to just fight once and then be right back in that conversation again. It's a very strange thing. Whereas the up-and-coming contenders like Charles Oliveira and Beneil Dariush have to go on these crazy win streaks in order to get their own title shots. So, weird situation. In terms of a prediction on that bout, I do believe that Jon Jones will beat Stipe Miocic. I actually think that he'll probably knock him down on the feet and then get a guillotine choke. I think there's been a massive exposure of the heavyweight division in terms of their grappling ability in reality compared to what we thought it really was. Heavyweights can't grapple. So I feel like not only can Jon Jones get Stipe Miocic to the ground and do a bit of a better job controlling him than maybe a DC could because of his frame, but I feel as though Jon Jones is going to do pretty good on the feet against him as well, because it's not like Stipe Miocic really has that one-shot knockout power. Of course he does, but it's not reliable enough to judge an entire prediction on it, like if Francis Ngannou was going to be taken on Jon Jones. Maybe then you would bet on the one-punch KO power, but Stipe seems to have gotten a little bit less of that the more technical he's gotten as his career has gone on. I just would definitely trust Jon Jones to win that fight, definitely trust him to win that fight, so I'd pick him. He's a massive favourite as well. I'm just so glad that Ngannou's gone, and now we have Jon. You know what I mean? We have Jon Jones, heavyweight champion, immediately looking to turn around in July and fight Stipe Miocic again, or not again, but fight again against Stipe Miocic in the main event of a pay-per-view card. It feels good because the heavyweight division finally exists when it comes to like a championship fight conversation. Like, we had Ngannou defending once every 13 months, and it was such a real bad situation for the heavyweight division because outside of him defending his belt once every year or so, he was just complaining non-stop to the UFC. So Jon Jones is on his contract. He wants to fight against Stipe Miocic. It's a perfect matchup. Jon Jones, the light heavyweight GOAT, and arguably the GOAT if you take out massive amounts of failed PED tests like you do with Dillashaw. Remember, when Dillashaw tests positive for something, everyone takes away his entire legacy. But when Jon Jones does it 5 times, everyone completely ignores it, which is really, really strange. But either way, that's what happens. So Jon Jones, arguably the light heavyweight GOAT and GOAT of the sport. Stipe Miocic, arguably still the heavyweight GOAT of the UFC. So it's the matchup that we were looking for. Amazing matchup in July. We'll see who can really beat Jones. I think Stipe will last longer than Ciryl Gane, of course, because, I mean, anyone lasts longer than Ciryl Gane, let's be real. He had a terrible performance. But I feel like Stipe's going to maybe be able to put up a little bit of a fight, but eventually get knocked down and then guillotine choked. Almost like what Overeem did to him, but by actually finishing the guillotine choke afterwards, because Jon Jones has better technique to go for that technique. We move on to another story that came out, which was Jake Paul being chased down by Floyd Mayweather. Not even chased. He got cornered by Team Mayweather and all of his massive juiced up bodyguards. And he had to run away from the situation because I don't think people are saying 50. Jake Paul said 50. Then he came out and said there was 20 people. There was, in reality, it looked like about 10 people that were on Mayweather's side in that whole situation. There was a lot of bystanders that were just standing around in the middle of that anyway. But regardless, I'm just going to say this, okay? And why do these people make me defend Jake Paul? Massive bot. Jake Paul's not a big dude. He's like he's 5'11", I'm pretty sure. I know it says that he's 6'1", but in reality, when you look at him next to other people and other heights, he's 5'11". He's not a big guy in any way whatsoever. And he's got these big plus 6 foot bodyguards, 6 foot plus bodyguards, walking towards him. Like, regardless if you think Jake Paul can fight or not, one, he's not like a heavyweight in any way whatsoever. So it's not like if this is Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder being walked down by 4 guys that are massive towards him. Maybe then you would expect Deontay Wilder not to run away from them. Who knows? But this is Jake Paul, 5'11", and Mayweather and his team, 10 of them are walking towards him, acting like they're going to jump him. And someone's on the camera as well, saying, what are we saying, guys? Should we jump this guy or what? That guy is the most annoying guy in the whole situation. And then Jake Paul runs away because, first of all, he shouldn't have ran the way he did. Because it was so weird. Because he did a full-on sprint away. He should have, skip-stepped backwards whilst keeping an eye on the situation. And then if someone bolted at him, then he should have ran away. That's my opinion. That would have made him look a little bit better. If he just sort of cleared space backwards, constantly shuffle step backwards, looking around in front of him, that would have been a bit of a better way to disengage the situation in terms of keeping his ego intact. But yeah, he ran away. Why wouldn't he? There's 10 people walking towards him, and there's people around saying, yeah, we're going to jump him. What are we going to do? We're going to bust him up, guys? And all that. Floyd Mayweather wasn't even the one leading the charge. He was just standing behind these massive bodyguards as they walked towards Jake Paul with the intention of beating him up. So, I don't know. It's probably a bit of promo. They're probably going to do an exhibition match, in all honesty, at some point down the line. Of course, that is a fight that Floyd Mayweather will make a decent amount of money on in an exhibition fight. And it's also quite an interesting fight because of how big Jake Paul is in comparison to him. But I just wish Jake Paul, before he ran away from the situation, which isn't a terrible thing to do, he's not going to beat up 10 people coming towards him when he's 5'11". He's not a big dude in any way. So he's not taking on 10 people coming towards him, no matter what. I just wish Jake Paul would have, on his way out, sucker punched that guy behind the camera saying, what are we going to do, guys? We're going to bust him up or what? We going to jump this dude or what? Not so tough now, are you, Jake? This random loser behind the camera who probably isn't even on Team Mayweather, just waffling from the sidelines. Why are you running? Why are you so scared, bud? What do you mean, why is he so scared? This guy acting like he wouldn't have ran away in the same situation. So many people are acting like they wouldn't have ran away. But in reality, 10 people walking towards you, big dudes, acting like they're going to jump you. You either accept being beaten up, you're not Ngannou, you know what I mean? And even Ngannou probably would start moving away and hang on a second here, 10 people on one, this isn't good odds, you know what I mean? So it's just everyone would have ran in that situation. Maybe not the way Jake Paul ran, but everyone would have got themselves out of that situation 100%. One thing I do want to say, though, is that Floyd Mayweather is 5'7", and I don't know how much he weighs, to be honest with you. I really don't know how much he weighs. Floyd Mayweather weight. Oh, God, I wish it didn't say it in kg. 67 kg. Okay, that was his weight class, I guess, in boxing. I'm just going to check it out. weight in pounds. He's such a small person. That needs to be mentioned. Okay, I typed in pounds. He weighed in at 147 pounds for his exhibition fight. He's such a small person. You know what I mean? He's such an unintimidating small person that I'd be willing to say that Jake Paul would easily decimate him in a street fight. And I'm just going to say that out loud. I know people are going to maybe be against the idea of that, but Mayweather's not going to KO him with one punch. That's not happening. Okay, Jake Paul knows how to take a punch, and he's taken good punches off of big dudes like Tommy Fury, who may not hit that hard, but they're big people. You know what I mean? Tyron Woodley, or Jake Paul can take a punch if he needs to. Floyd Mayweather is not KOing him with one punch in any way whatsoever. And if he doesn't KO Jake Paul with one punch, as a 5'7", 147-pound, 44-year-old man, 46-year-old man, Jake Paul will literally ragdoll him with his wrestling credentials. I'm not talking about outboxing Floyd Mayweather, or even beating him in a boxing match in the street, like when they're throwing their hands against each other. I'm just saying this. With his wrestling background, one-on-one in the street, Jake Paul will absolutely decimate Floyd Mayweather in a fight. And people don't get that. Boxing fans do not understand that in any way whatsoever. Jake Paul will shoot on Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather will panic, throw a punch and miss it. And then Jake Paul will lift him up and dunk him. Just absolutely dunk him on a concrete, smash him into it, and badly hurt him and easily beat him in a street fight if it was just those two. So I don't see how this is a W for Floyd Mayweather. I see this as a massive, massive L for Floyd Mayweather, because it just showed that despite being one of the best boxers of all time, he's still a little shrimp of a pussy, and he has to walk around with 10 people to press a YouTuber. You know what I mean? YouTuber. He has to have 10 people with him as enforcement to even dare to confront Jake Paul. Because in a real street fight, he'd be absolutely destroyed by Jake Paul, and he would be dunked on the concrete within about 5 seconds by Jake Paul with a double leg takedown to a slam. So I don't know how this is a W for Mayweather, but if it's building up their future fight against each other, then I guess that's all it is, and we've all fallen for the bait because it's making all the headlines. Also want to talk about a few more things that came out. Davison Figueiredo wants Dominic Cruz in the bantamweight division and is 80% sure that he'll move up to the bantamweight division for his next fight. I like this matchup. This one of these guys is scared of Moreno. He's fought him 4 times. What are you talking about? I like that. I really do like that. Seems like TJ Dillashaw's not going to be back anytime soon. Dominic Cruz took some damage in his last fight, right, to Marlon Vera, but he's going to be looking to get back in there soon. I haven't heard him say anything about retirement. And I actually think this is a really good matchup for Dominic Cruz as well, that he could win, because Figueiredo, I don't know how he's going to take bantamweight punches when he's off balance and off on a lot of things and missing a lot of punches aggressively. So I wouldn't actually mind Dominic Cruz winning this one. I think he would win it, and I think it'd be another former champion to add to his resume. So I don't see why Dominic Cruz wouldn't take this matchup out of all of the matchups that he could possibly take, because it's this, or it's someone like Umar Nurmagomedov, Ricky Simone, someone really dangerous on the come up in the bantamweight division next for him. He got KO'd in August. He's had a lot of time off. I say make that fight July, International Fight Week. Dominic Cruz, Davison Figueiredo. It could even be a fight night main event in the Apex. Wouldn't mind that, but I think Cruz deserves to be in front of a crowd, and so does Figueiredo at this point as well. So I don't mind that matchup. I think Cruz would win it, and I think it's a really good matchup as well. And it's the only one that really makes sense right now in the bantamweight division for Figueiredo to move up and take on. So that's something that's happening. Also, Cron Gracie has returned to the UFC. He will be taking on Charles Jourdain, UFC 288 on May the 6th. That's an amazing pay-per-view coming together in May. I'm so glad about the pay-per-views. Listen, the UFC London pay-per-view, fair play. It's not really that good, okay? It just isn't really that good, the London pay-per-view. It looked good to begin with. Maybe there would have been Allen versus Holloway on there, and that would have saved the pay-per-view card, but I'm liking that April is stacked with amazing fights. And then you've got May is looking to be stacked as well. And then July is Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic. So no doubt that's going to be an amazing pay-per-view as well. I just need to make sure that June is also going to be really good. So I'm saying they go to Mexico in June. Volkanovski versus Rodriguez main event. Brandon Moreno versus Alejandro Pantoja co-main event. And then Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko 2 in the feature fight. And you got yourself an amazing Mexican pay-per-view, I guess. I think I said Brazil. But yeah, go to Mexico in June. But amazing fight added to the May pay-per-view card on May the 6th. Really, really good fight. Looking forward to that one. That'll be somewhere on the prelims, no doubt. And other than that, I think Charles Jourdain wins that matchup, in all honesty. I don't see Kron Gracie winning that one. I think he's a bit of a heavy bag, and I think that Jourdain will be aware enough on the ground to not get submitted by him and avoid those positions and play smart, and I think he will KO Kron Gracie with punches, even though Kron Gracie did show toughness in his last fight. Other than that, though, Nate Maness versus Zhalgas Magulov. Glad that Zhalgas Magulov's getting another chance and not retiring, because he keeps getting really badly robbed, and that's also on the UFC 288 card, so I'll take him to win that one. And we've also got Abubakar Nurmagomedov out. Harris will now face Jared Gooden this weekend, so Jared Gooden gets another chance back in the UFC, which is interesting. And Mayra Bueno Silva versus Miesha Tate. Mayra Bueno Silva called out Miesha Tate after her last win that she got. She's getting right back in there, and I think she beats Miesha Tate. I have no idea why Miesha Tate is still fighting in any way whatsoever. It doesn't really make any sense. I guess she's on a good contract and she's just looking to cash in. But if this gets scrappy, I'm definitely going to side with Mayra Bueno Silva, because she's nasty on the ground and she's also getting really good on the feet as well. And she's quite powerful on the feet as well. I think she's on a bit of a good roll at the moment. On a 2-fight win streak, if I'm not mistaken. I think she's won 4 out of her last 5. Yes, 4 out of her last 5. And the only loss in that run was to Manon Fiorot. So I'm definitely going to side with her winning this one. She's on a 3-fight winning streak in the UFC. Had a good few performances back-to-back. I see her getting a win over Miesha Tate for sure. No idea why Miesha Tate is continuing to fight. I'd also fuck up Floyd Mayweather in a street fight. One rugby tackle, I tell you. One rugby tackle. I literally have nearly an 100-pound weight advantage over that little shrimp of a human. He's 5'7". The imp. I'd destroy him. And so would Jake Paul 1v1. That's why he walks around with 10 bodyguards. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. See you later. Goodbye.